Hi, this is J Sapio. I haven't did a video in a long time, but I thought now was the time to talk about something that a lot of people have to deal with. So this video is going to be about facing trauma, conquering what you don't confront. So this topic is really well. I'm very passionate about it because not only do I have to deal with it on a professional level, me being in the mental health field, but also being someone that is suffering from depression and anxiety. So I just decided to make this video to for those who deal with depression, and just even if you're not seeing a therapist, or even if you are seeing a therapist, there are some things that ultimately you have to deal with it yourself. Ultimately you have to confront that trauma. So I'm gonna try not to get a little emotional about it, but I had to come out to a place where it's significant for me. A lot of how I learn about depression and how I get out of it, and just how I learn about life lessons and psychological processes, is how I learn about not only trees but how much I can learn from water. So I'll get into that later. So I've been dealing with depression since 2006. That's when my father passed away, and I'm also a son of a international evangelist, and grew up in a Pentecostal church here in the South, and came from a church where I would call him my grandfather, but he was the bishop. So a lot of things, I saw a lot of things that normal church goers wouldn't see. So like the nasty political and business sides, or just things like how people would treat young women who were having babies out of wedlock, or just a simple way as people dressed, or how people treated how men treated women, when women are like, they make up the entire church. It was a lot of suppression, and not only, and I'm not even getting into the spiritual side of it, or the indoctrination. It's just the systemic processes of what goes on in a Pentecostal church that can be traumatic. And me growing up inside of it, and I'm not saying it was all bad, but a lot of it traumatized me. And a lot of times, like, you hear about the silence of people being molested and things like that in church, or just like ministers and deacons sleeping with every other people's wives, and just voodoo. And well, I'm gonna say voodoo, like, it's just spiritual warfare and things like that, just to get at people. Like, it was very traumatic. And so I felt like, me being someone that's very into what goes on in the mind, I love learning. I love being open to different perspectives. And so me growing up in that environment, I felt trapped. And so cut to today, I've accomplished a lot since then. I'm only 31 years old, and I really don't like to talk about my accomplishments, because I feel like they're not accomplishments for me. It's just something that I felt like I was obligated to do. Like, I'm only 31 years old, and I made that choice to join the military, to study mental health. I made that choice to travel the world. I've been to London, Bahrain, Nepal, Haiti, just to study social stigmas and effects on children. And I've also started my own blog, just like within this the first few months, it went viral and got national attention. I wasn't intending on doing it. I was just using my gifts to, at a lot of times, just to overcome that trauma. To say that I don't have to live in this box. I can use what I'm learning. I'm using this drive for freedom, for mental liberation, to heal myself and heal other people. So even during that time, I wasn't telling people that I was dealing with depression. I was just, because of my upbringing, I had to develop tough skin. Even when I would ask certain questions that were a little outlandish for a lot of churchgoers, they were like, "Oh boy, you don't know what you're talking about," or "Oh, that's sacrilege." But I wasn't trying to demean anybody. I just really wanted to know, and I was always an avid reader. My father was an avid reader. He's an educator, and he was one of the reasons why I was so interested in just learning about the world and not just looking at this cookie cutter aspect of whatever it was. If it's God, if it's religion, if it's politics, if it's history, if it's sexuality, I wanted to explore and come to my own truth. So that was my attempt at mental liberation. Like I said, I'm only 31 and I've accomplished a lot. I've started my own school for boys, and I see what people see, and the good things about it, but I feel like I'm supposed to do that. So why should I should be giving myself a pat on the back, but it doesn't always work out that way. But it's been hard. It's been some real tough situations that I've had to get myself out of, because I was so scared to reveal that I had depression, like that I would like I would not sleep, I would not eat, I would have crying spells, and I would sometimes resort to alcohol and drugs just to numb it. It's been times where I know in college I had my first nervous breakdown, and my best friend found me on the floor. Yeah, sorry. And it's just that's I had to, because of that feeling trapped and just the things that I experienced. Because a lot of people, even in mental health, I went to one of the best graduate schools for psychology in the country, and when we talk about abuse, it's always the emotional abuse, the sexual abuse, and all that. But when I would bring up religious abuse, people would look at me like I was crazy. But it was real to me, and so what I decided to do, even just in mental health, me being a person of color in mental health, a lot of theories are centered on whiteness, and I'm, in my mind, I'm like, okay, why am I paying all this money to learn these theories when I'm not even seeing myself in the literature? So then it became an act of rebellion, not just in terms of my education, but also my spiritual walk. So I decided to explore different perspectives in different cultures, whether it was Buddhism or just learning about socialism or especially traditional African spiritual systems, which we were taught were demonic, just because they were African. I had to learn about my history. I had to protect myself. I had to defend my own mind. And just recently, I've been good at giving advice to other people. Just because over time, with the successes that I have had, I'm really blessed. I'm really appreciative of that. But a lot of times, I know that I was working so hard. I was working hard so I wouldn't have to deal with me. So everything I accomplished, I did it because I felt like I was obligated to do it, but it was for other people. Because I didn't want to deal with myself. I didn't want to deal with that deep-rooted trauma. And a lot of times, I would go into depression and miss the blessings or whatever that I needed to get ahead. I needed in order to get ahead because I wouldn't face myself. And I don't know if people believes in visions or dreams like that, but my father and my grandmother, they would always talk about special spiritual gifts, and that was also a lot of cause of my fear and trauma as well, because like I would have dreams and visions. A lot of times I would be scared to go to sleep, or I would be afraid to look at people in their eyes, because I sometimes see or feel things that other people don't, and I get quiet and I get scared and I get depressed and I don't eat, I don't sleep, and I have crying spells. And just recently I started, I had death in the family. A person close to me passed away, the bishop. And after my dad died, I told him, it was a lot of pressure, having a father in that certain position, and people feeling like you're supposed to take on that role. And I didn't want that. I wanted my own shoes. I wanted to fill my own shoes. I wanted my own identity. I didn't want to be, Lil Quinn. I wanted to be Joshua. And I told my dad, I'm going to have a message, but it's just not going to come from a pulpit. And, he made peace with that. But when a lot of people, I guess, and, I'm appreciative to come from a family that people admire. I'm very appreciative of that. But it came with a lot of sacrifices. And some of those sacrifices, I don't think I can deal with, especially, if I'm going to have children. I can't. I just don't want to do that. I can't do that to my kids. And that's... And that's one of the things, like, that scares me. That's one of the things that, keeps me from relationships, because I know the impact that I have. Like, even just having a black platform scares me. Because I don't want to be too busy to not be there for my kids. It's so stupid because I don't even have kids yet. But the thing is, I've seen them in my dreams, and I cry over them. I cry over them, and I always promise them, like, it doesn't matter what happens, I'm gonna always choose you first. And just recently, for the past 3 months, it's been real tough. I've become a recluse. Just, staying in my room, reading in the dark, not sleeping. If I look at food, it makes me gag. And it's so weird that I can give advice to people. Like I said, I own my own school, and those boys mean the world to me. And when they don't have something, I give my all. I make sure that they have it, even if I have to give my last. It's been times where I wouldn't pay my own mortgage just so those kids can, have opportunities, because they don't get a lot of it here. And a lot of times I suffer for it, but I was willing to do that. It was just a no-brainer for me, because I know what that feels like. And I had both of my parents, and they were good parents, but because of the devotion to ministry and devotion to everybody else, a lot of times I felt left out. like I said, my mental, me reading a lot and learning a lot and traveling a lot and not being, promising myself that I didn't want to live in that bubble, it became an act of liberation. But these past 3 months, I've had to, I had a meltdown, and I knew what it was about. I knew what it was about. It's not something that I never see coming. It's just the fact that I do things, I work hard a lot just so I wouldn't have to deal with me. Just like I give those boys my all, but I had to take a step back and I had to realize that it was time to deal with my own trauma. And that's the scariest thing to me. So yeah. So I promised my dad on his deathbed that I would, because the bishop is like his mentor, the greatest person in the world, very, very brilliant person. Both of them really, really smart, really, really intelligent, just intimidatingly intelligent. And, I'm glad that I get that from them. And a lot of times, even when I was, not living where, in Mississippi, I lived a few places. Bishop would always ask me to come visit, but I just wasn't ready. I just wanted to do this on my own. I didn't want to be glued to that indoctrination again. It terrified me. I just didn't want to do that. I wasn't ready. And over the past few months, I kept hearing, in my head, even some of my friends saying you can't conquer what you don't confront. And of course, towards the end, he would even send messages, to me from friends or from my mom. As Bishop said, call him, and I knew, I knew he didn't mean any harm. I knew he just wanted to talk, but I just felt I didn't want to go back into that. I didn't want to deal with that. And it just, those last 3 months, it just got worse and worse. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, and things just started happening. I just felt, even in just relationships and things like that, I understood that I was in those relationships because I was giving myself to other people. I was giving my love to other people so I wouldn't have to deal with me. And I wouldn't talk about my trauma because I'm so focused on making sure that they're happy. And when they turn around and do things for me, I'm appreciative of it, but I just feel like, well, we're in a relationship, that's what you're supposed to do. So, past my, I was driving in the car, passing by Bishop's house, and just something just told me to just turn. It was a few weeks ago, and I just couldn't, I just felt it coming, and I just kept having dreams about my dad, it was just bothering me, and I just kept ignoring it. And, of course, during this time, I was, dealing with issues in relationships and things like that. So that's another thing. And I got a call from my cousin. I think it was before New Year, not New Year's, Christmas Eve, and I knew what it meant. In my mind, he wanted me to come to church, and I said, I'm gonna try to get there. And I knew, cause I stayed up that whole night. I knew something was coming, cause I always get it. I always feel it. It comes to me any type of way. And I got there late, and it was when I was pulling up, he was pulling off. And after that, things just started going crazy. Like me and, my significant other, we were just arguing a whole lot. Just it was just, everything just started to clash. And, that didn't go well. So, like, I had to face that loneliness again. And just issues just started happening. Come to find out the day that, one random night where I was just out of it and got the text and said he had passed away. And I just felt like I missed out on an opportunity. I should have done that, and I missed a whole lot of blessings because I didn't go back and face that trauma. And of course, I went to the funeral, and it was even that was difficult, for me, because you go in that place where you've grown up all your life, everyone knows you, even just people that have passed away, it seems like, through the years their spirit still lingers. And even with a crowd of people in the church to pay respects to him, I heard those voices. I could hear my dad. I could hear the old church mothers. I could hear the lady that used to keep me when I was little. It got too much. It became too much, and I tried to hold on to it, but I just had to leave because it was just heavy on me. And yesterday, I don't know. Yesterday, it was just heavy. I literally had a breakdown. I couldn't breathe. I had to go. Well, before that, I had a dream. And I was walking in the office in this dream, and my dad was sitting on one end of the desk, and Bishop was sitting on the other end of the desk. And I kind of like walked in and was like, oh man. And I can laugh about it now. And before I could say anything, and my dad was like, we don't even want to hear it. And Bishop was like, looked at me and said, you see, I told you would surely see me one way or another. Then he said, now you got me and your daddy both in your ears, so how you going to deal with that? So, it's scary but comforting at the same time, because now I know my father and, Bishop are connected. He wherever they are right now, they have, they have that connection. They could be together again. But, yeah, so yesterday I had this just breakdown. Like, I had to get out of the house because something was bothering me. And something just told me to go back to that trauma. If you want to, because there's been things I've been wanting to do just for myself personally. I had to deal with, because I want to do things in my own life. And and what I was getting, the energy that I was getting, you have to conquer, you have to face that trauma if you want to move forward to what you want to do in your own life. So, well, let me walk with this. So I did that. It was scary. So I had to go back to the church. I did last night, and I tried to hold it. I tried to hold it in, but it just, and the sermon was about the very exact thing that I needed to hear. It was about letting go of that past hurt, but the thing was, I went up to the altar and asked for prayer and everything like that, but it was a mixture of fear and releasing at the same time. And so I had a panic attack on the altar. And I know that a lot of them felt like, they saw the releasing part, or the spirit is over me, releasing things in me, but I don't think they got the anxiety, the panic, the fear I've had because of the trauma that I've experienced, because of the religious abuse. But it felt, I was overwhelmed by, even the people that were surrounding me. They've known me all of my life. and they were just saying, it's okay, we got you, it's you good, it's okay. And like, I don't have to tell them because they know. And it's not like, the whole church is bad or they've done any, people just out to get me. It's people that have been, that have been supportive of me and things like that. But I'm so afraid. I'm usually never afraid of anything. They know I have a real strong spirit. So I'm really, real afraid of being trapped again and going back to that trauma and feeling like I can't get out and feeling like I'm sinking and feeling like if I stay there, it's gonna kill me. And but I know I'm strong enough. And this is what I learned from, just look at the water. What I learned from just different stories of how different cultures, told stories about water, like Poseidon or Olokun, one of the Orishas, going deep down into the lowest part of the ocean in the dark where it's cold and there's no life, when you have to go down there and just deal with your own shit, when you have to learn, because that's where all the answers are, in that deep dark place. That's where all the mysteries are. But the beauty of that, and the story that I've learned from Elokum and traditional African spirituality, is the choice you make when you're down there. Either you're gonna sink or you're gonna swim. And a lot of times, we can't be comfortable on the surface of the water where the sun hits. Yeah, it's beautiful and it's warm, but sometimes you have to go down to that sunken place. Sometimes you have to deal with that hurt. Sometimes you got to really go down to the bottom of yourself and see how strong you are. And you have to decide for yourself whether you're gonna pull yourself up to the surface or just drown. And that's one thing that I'm having to learn, in this situation. I know even through this process for the past few months, I've been slowly, getting the things that I want in my life, just personally, that doesn't have to do with anybody else. But it's saying, okay, at least you're dealing with it, and I know until I face this trauma, I'm gonna keep sinking. I'm gonna keep being in the position that I am. I'm gonna keep crying. I'm gonna keep being depressed. I'm gonna keep being angry. I'm gonna keep feeling like, am I gonna take my life today? Is this gonna be my last day? Because a lot of times, those have been thoughts. Because sometimes I just wanted to stop. A lot of times I don't want to have the dreams. A lot of times I'm just tired. I don't want to do it no more. But I know I got a choice. And that's the beauty of living. I got a choice. I got a choice, a second chance to live. And I know there's people that support me, that won't, let me sink. I gotta gather enough energy to pull myself up to the surface. Because if I don't deal with it, I'm never gonna learn. I'm never gonna get the things I want in life. I'm never gonna be able to inspire people or empower people. I'm never gonna get the desires of my heart. And I didn't intend this video to be long, and I know it's dark out here, but yeah, sorry. But oh Lord, I'm sorry. I know it's dark, you probably can't see me, but yeah, okay, here we go. So yeah, some things you're just gonna have to confront, and I'm learning that right now. I'm learning that, and the beauty of sinking is that I know I'll come out stronger. So it's kind of like me shedding old skin, me actually dying, and being reborn. Giving birth to a new creature, because you can't. The beauty of being in that sunken place, in that the bottom of the ocean, is you never come up the same. You come up stronger. You come up wiser. You come up, with the ability to just keep swimming. Even if you get tired of swimming, just lay back and float. Because you got the choice. You have the choice to live. You have the choice not to. You have the choice not to let yourself go, not to let people control your thoughts. You have the choice to be mentally liberated. You have the choice to not let people abuse you in any type of way. And the best way you have to do it, the best way to get out of it, is to confront it, is to face it and say, you're not going to defeat me. I'm bigger than you. I know you. I know you well. I know what you're capable of. And the thing is, whether it's oppression, whether it's abuse, or whatever, the way you defeat your enemy is to learn the ways of your enemy. And I know what I have to do. I know what I have to do, but it's just hard because I'm afraid of getting stuck. And I know if I get stuck, I don't know if I'm going to be questioning whether I want to live and things like that. And I don't want to do that, because I have children that I have to look after. I have students that I have to look after. I teach English overseas to kids in China, and just the yesterday, after I had my breakdown, I was crying in my room, and I was like, oh my God, I got 5 minutes to get myself together, to put on my face, put on my smiles and my animation and all that stuff, just so the kids can find joy in learning the English language. And I did it, and I was like, okay, I got it together. And it was a kid didn't speak any. His English was really poor, and they wanted to know about my culture. They wanted to see why my hair is so curly. And we talked about language and culture, and it was just so funny. The kid was so funny, and I was laughing so hard that I started crying. And at that moment, I realized I'm still getting the things that I've asked for, even though, I haven't been traveling as much as I want to, but I still get to see that part of the world through the eyes of a child, in China. And I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. But I'm not going to be long, but like I said, you can't conquer what you don't confront. So if anybody is reading this, listening to this, and they ever felt like, they're dealing with depression or anxiety or abuse, or especially religious abuse, or just confused about things, or questioning life, seek help. Go to a therapist. Talk to your friends. Talk to somebody. Do things that make you happy. A lot of times, I like Latin music. I like Latin dances. I'll go and do the bachata, merengue, salsa. I love all of that, and a lot of times spend time with my family a lot too. Just have fun. Do all of those things, the things that bring you joy. Stick to those things, and you'll find that those things bring joy to your life, and it also opens up doors to different pathways or different abilities or opportunities that you didn't think you had. So even with me and my interest in Latin music and dancing, and me, I became a DJ, and I do mixed Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Latin music at a local bar here. So it's just those things like that. And I hope that I've inspired some people through this video, because it took a lot to talk about that. If you have any questions, just feel free to comment and tell me what you think. I'll try to post some services that I've used, or things, the books that I've read, to discuss trauma or healing, or how different cultures view healing and trauma and things like that. So yeah, this is my story, and I hope I've inspired and empowered somebody to get their lives back and free themselves from mental slavery. So that's it. I love y'all. I'm Jay Sapio, and I'm out.